Week, Cardinal Robert Prevost became Pope Leo XIV and the first pope to be born in the United States. Now, bishops, including both cardinals and popes, carry a staff as part of their regalia. And this staff has at its top a hook. This is because no matter the material or how ornate it is, the staff is meant to symbolize a shepherd's crook. It is the tool used by shepherds to keep the sheep together, to lead them into a pasture to graze and back to the safety of a barn, to take shelter from a storm and to sleep, and to defend the flock against predators. And this image of the Good Shepherd that we hear in today's readings is the image which bishops are meant to embody in their leadership. While there is the threefold understanding of ministry as priest, prophet, and king, the role of king in Christian ministry is seen in the light of the shepherd, as one who stays with the flock and protects and guides, rather than a distant, indifferent ruler concerned only with self-aggrandizing behavior. Pope Francis, first in choosing the name Francis, and then in choosing to live in the communal living environment of a Vatican guest house rather than the papal palace, and his choices to not only go out of the Vatican walls to visit with the people of Rome, but to specifically seek out the marginalized, and finally, to choose to be laid to rest in a way that, at least for a pope, was relatively austere, embodied this role as shepherd. He was not perfect, but he was a good man who humbly tried to live out Christian values through his appointment to the chair of Peter. In choosing the name Leo, Cardinal Prevost indicated not only an inclination to follow in the footsteps of Francis, but also recalled the writings and actions of a pope from 100 years ago. At a time when the papacy had lost much of its secular power, Pope Leo XIII issued the encyclical Rerum Novarum. For hundreds of years between the fall of the Western Roman Empire until 1870, the Pope had been a feudal king, ruling over the papal states and involved in political intrigue and wars with other European powers. While not allowed to marry, popes of this era frequently had families nonetheless, and these families often wielded power within the papal states and served in diplomatic roles for the papacy. The Borgias were the most notorious example of this, but they were hardly alone. But when the French army deserted the gates of Rome to head back home for the Franco-Prussian War in the middle of the First Vatican Council, the papal states were seized by the Italian nationalists, and the Pope's power changed from primarily temporal to spiritual. Faced with this reality and with the realities of the Industrial Revolution, the robber barons, and a world in which information, people, and goods could traverse the globe at a speed that even decades previous would have seemed impossible, Leo XIII reoriented the role of the Pope with Rerum Novarum and laid the groundwork for Roman Catholic social thought and Christian social justice. Faced with both the inhumane working conditions of factories, mines, and tenements, and the anti-Christian tendencies of communists and anarchists, Leo sought to bring the gospel alive to the people of the waning days of the 19th century. In Rerum Novarum, Leo affirmed private property, but also affirmed the dignity of the human person, including the right to paid time off, fair wages, reasonable working hours, and safe working conditions. He also, while again rejecting communism, affirmed the right of workers to organize labor unions. Through this, Leo affirmed his role as the leader of the Roman Catholic Church and reoriented the imagery of this leadership from that of a king ruling over his subjects to a shepherd guiding his flock to the good grazing land and sweet water of life in Christ. In the 135 years since, the Roman Catholic Church has looked to this encyclical for the grounding in further advocacy for working people and the common good. In choosing the name Leo XIV, Cardinal Prevost has made clear his desire to continue this legacy as the world faces the impact of the new industrial revolution that is being driven by the rise of artificial intelligence. As a technology, No different than any that has come before it, artificial intelligence poses a challenge to humanity in how we use it and how we can continue to recognize one another's worth and dignity in its application and implementation. Artificial intelligence, like the mechanization and automation of generations ago, can be used to create more leisure time for all, to better care for one another, to protect against natural disasters, and to ensure a shared future of abundance. Or it could be used to disenfranchise, debase, and devalue one another. The leadership that Leo XIII embodied in his encyclical, and which Leo XIV has indicated he intends to emulate, is that of a shepherd. The leadership that Jesus spoke of in John, and which the psalmists look for from God. Now, we are not Roman Catholics. There will no doubt be things that Leo XIV does and says that we will disagree with and choose not to follow him in. I do not expect that he will ordain women or officiate same-sex unions during his tenure as Pope. But, as leader of the single largest denomination of Christianity around the world, his voice is a powerful one. And listening to and seeing his model of leadership is worth looking to for guidance. And it is the leadership that we are all called to. It is leadership of compassion and mercy, and it is a leadership that stands in stark contrast to the leadership that has been traditionally exhibited by kings and strongmen throughout history, the leadership of compulsion and abuse. When we follow the leadership of compassion and mercy, when we follow the leadership of Christ, we do so out of free will and love. We hear our shepherd's voice not because we have no other choice, but because we have chosen to be part of this flock. We have chosen mercy over abuse, compassion over compulsion, life over death.